A man worth $80 billion walks past a homeless person and feels absolutely nothing. Not cruelty, not disgust, not even a flicker of discomfort. And the most disturbing part, his brain is functioning exactly as it was designed to. There are three mechanisms that make empathy for poverty psychologically impossible at the level of extreme wealth. The same three mechanisms that explain why awareness campaigns, documentaries, and charity galas have never changed the behavior of the ultra-rich. Not because billionaires are monsters, but because wealth itself does something to the human brain that most people are never told about. Chapter 1. Distance destroys empathy before it can begin. Billionaires do not live near poverty. They do not drive through it, stand in lines within it, or sit in waiting rooms next to people crushed by it. Their entire existence is architecturally engineered to keep suffering permanently out of sight, and empathy cannot survive without proximity. Researcher Brené Brown found that empathy is not an intellectual exercise, it is a physical one. It requires a human being to be close enough to another human being to actually feel the weight of their reality. When the closest a billionaire gets to poverty as a percentage on a quarterly report, their brain does not register people, it registers data. Their mirror neurons, the part of the brain biologically wired to feel another person's pain, have nothing left to fire against. You cannot feel what you are never allowed to see. Jeff Bezos reportedly had no idea what a standard grocery store receipt looked like for over 2 decades, not because he was hiding from the world, because his world had been silently, completely rebuilt around him, without his knowledge and without his consent. When your entire environment contains no suffering, the brain stops developing the tools to process it. The capacity for empathy does not disappear, it simply never gets built. Chapter 2. The story that makes guilt impossible. Even if you closed the distance, there's a third wall, one that sits deeper than proximity, deeper than neuroscience, and deeper than any awareness campaign could ever reach. Psychologist Melvin Lerner called it the just world hypothesis. The human brain has a desperate, almost primal need to believe the world is fair, because if the world is not fair, then success is not fully deserved. And if success is not fully deserved, then everything standing on top of it becomes unstable. So the brain builds a story, a simple one. People are poor because of their choices. Hard work leads to wealth. Weakness leads to poverty. This belief is not born from cruelty, it's born from self-preservation. Feeling guilt about wealth requires believing the system is rigged, and believing the system is rigged requires accepting that your position in it is partly luck, and accepting luck means your success is not entirely yours. Very few human minds are willing to do that voluntarily. Researcher Michael Krauss at Yale found that wealthy individuals consistently underestimate how much circumstance shaped their success and dramatically overestimate how much personal effort was responsible for where they ended up. The belief that you earned everything is the most effective shield against guilt ever constructed. It does not require lying, it just requires the brain to tell itself a story it desperately wants to be true. So the next time you expect a billionaire to feel something for the poor, understand what you are actually asking. You are asking them to reverse years of neurological rewiring, to feel proximity that their entire architecture was built to prevent, and to dismantle the story their entire identity is constructed on. That is not something a documentary can fix. It's not something a statistic can fix. It never was. Chapter 3. Wealth literally rewires the brain. Psychologist Paul Piff at UC Berkeley spent over 10 years studying the relationship between wealth and empathy. His findings were deeply uncomfortable. The more financial resources a person accumulates, the less their brain activates the regions responsible for compassion. Wealth does not just change what you own, it changes how your brain processes other human beings. In one experiment, wealthier participants consistently took more candy from a bowl clearly labeled for children, not out of malice, out of a quiet rewiring that had replaced empathy with entitlement. Neuroscientist Dr. Keltner named this the power paradox. The traits that drive people to the top, ambition, focus, relentless self-interest, are the exact traits that kill compassion once they arrive. The climb selects for people who are already less distracted by other people's suffering, and every day at the top, the brain reinforces those same patterns. It is not a character flaw, it is a neurological renovation, slow, invisible, and permanent. Wealth builds walls inside the mind long before it builds them around the mansion.